I'd like to establish a quorum.
Okay. Maury Walsh. Myself, Don Harmon,
Here.
Bill, Barry Gardner.
Here.
Bill Hines.
Here.
Chris May.
Here.
And we're missing Brooks Marsh, who's not available today. So can I move on with my secretaries? So I'd like to make a motion to approve the April open meeting minutes.
I second.
I have a motion and a second. All right, any opposed? All right, all in favor? Okay. Next up is going to be President's Report, which is the DOR update and next step. So as of today, sometime in the afternoon, we actually got official word that the DOR did meet the requirements, did meet the quorum, and it did pass. The official tally was 568 votes for, 196 against, so a total of 764. So if you do the math, it's roughly over 74% voted yes, or a 3-to-1 ratio. So that's, I mean, in our opinion, that was exciting. So it's great news. So now that we have this results, we are going to start moving on next steps. We've already been doing some research around an amendment to the DOR. So we'll be amending the new DOR and looking at addressing some of the further concerns that we've had over the past few months around rental companies, things like that. So what we've already done, we've got a meeting set up next month with our external kind of attorney that is an expert in POA and HOA, both requirements, management. So we're going to be making sure we have the right legality before we move forward, and also asked him for best practices. So coming out of that meeting, we'll give you an update in June, and then we'll be reaching out to the community with further updates and feedback, and then we'll move on to, you know, actual sending out the voting shortly after that is kind of our timeline. So we'll come back in June with a more kind of, here's what the timeline is going to look like, but just want everyone to know that steps are already underway. We're already kind of moving out now that we have this information on what to do. And then as far as the current executive committee and the open board seat, so we did fill Dennis Brown's open board seat. We will announce it shortly. Everything's pending. Our company who does the background checks is currently holding or reviewing everyone. So we haven't gotten any formal feedback. So until we get that formal feedback, aren't going to officially announce it, but we will hopefully shortly have a solution and be able to announce it. And then as far as the executive committee, I'm going to remain president until we have till September, when we have a new, I guess, new people coming into play. And then Tiffany is currently vice president. Brooks Marsh, who's actually not here, he's secretary, and Don Harmon is going to remain as treasurer. And then just to kind of further reminder, we do have 3 board seats that are coming available. So you need to get your application in by May 27th at 4 o'clock, no later. So just want to put a reminder out there that the deadline again is May 27th. I think that's it for me. Did I miss anything? Done? Oh, shoot, I'm so excited to tell the DOR news I skipped over.
Nobody loves me anymore.
I got so excited. So we're gonna back up on the agenda and go to the treasurer's report.
That's
That's all right.
I'm sorry. That's fine.
Had pretty good news anyway. So
Yeah.
revenue was up this year. This is the end of April report. At the end of April is our closing of the year. Admin revenue was up due to a large number of assessments, and all the payments were made, 99% of them, I think. We also had an increase in construction fees and lot combinations, things like that. Golf operations was the second biggest winner. There was a big increase in it of $196,000. So golf is coming back. And my hat's off to the golf course. Payroll was a little high, but it was only mostly due to golf maintenance. The guys are working extra time and really hard. They're understaffed. Maintenance and grounds was way under budget. And that was it mainly because we couldn't fill the vacant position or retain personnel. So we outsourced part of their work so they can concentrate more on the roads and whatnot. Operating expenses came out pretty good for the year. 19,000 under budget. 19,000 over budget, I should say. And also we had lot sales has been really good to us. We have $191,000 put back for the rec center improvements, so that's good. That's really about the main things we got going on. Yeah, that's in admin, like buying fees.
Great.
Okay, thanks. All right, back on schedule now. Back to the operations report. Allison, you want to give your general news report?
So summertime is finally almost here, although with the recent heat, you can probably say it's already arrived. Summer's the busiest and most exciting time for the community, with the amenities opening, children getting out of school, and several important holidays to celebrate. Unfortunately, it can also be a very challenging time as well. There's only another week or so left for most of the local schools. However, we're already having issues with unsupervised children and teens. In the last 2 weeks, we've had numerous incidents with large groups of unsupervised young teens at the country club pool. This has resulted in suspected drug use, several fights, and vandalism to both at the pool restrooms and the interior country club restrooms. And just this past Friday night, the playground out here was vandalized by 7 teenagers. Vandalism and unruly minors will not be tolerated by the association. We do contact Carroll County Sheriff's Office in these cases, and parents will be held fully responsible for their actions. Minors will be banned from POA-owned facilities if they're found repeatedly disobeying the rules, damaging property, or fighting, and the parents will be cited. If you see something going on, please report it to SPA or the POA office. It's best to report it when you see it so the SPA and or the CCSO can react. Parents, please monitor where your child is going and who they're hanging out with in the community. Even if the child is not participating in whatever trouble is going on, they could be found guilty by association with the perpetrators. With all that said, going into just from a couple of rec reminders, we are having a lot of issues already at the country club pool. So I just wanted to put out a couple of reminders regarding the facility openings. On Saturday, May 21st, our full operating season will begin for all of the amenities, including the rec center. We want this to be another successful summer operating seasons. So here's a couple of the main rules. Glass is not allowed at any of the facilities. Hosts will be checking coolers as residents and guests enter. Broken glass is not only a hazard for bare feet, it could also result in a several-day shutdown of the facility. Valid POA card with the user's name and photo ID must be presented each time to enter an amenity facility. Children 12 and under are not permitted to enter without adult supervision. Parents are not permitted to drop off their children 12 and under. Currently, minors 13 to 15 are allowed without a guardian, but must have a youth amenities card that's purchased from the POA office and are not permitted to sign in guests. Minors 16 to 18 must have a POA card issued in their name and show valid ID and may only sign up to 2 guests. That's the current rule, but of course, if we continue to have problems, I should see that changing. Each property owner and households allowed up to 10 guests per day. 4 guests per household are allowed in at no charge. More than 4, up to 10 will be $2 per guest. Due to the crowds on holiday weekends, there are no free guests, and wristbands must be purchased for $5 each. Residents must remain with their guests at all times while they're on property. Residents are not allowed to sign in guests and leave as residents are held fully responsible for their guests' actions. And no pets are allowed at any facility at any time. The above are just a highlight of a few of the rules regarding the amenities. For a full copy of the pool and beach rules and regulations, please visit our website or drop by the office. Remember that we have these rules in place to protect the residents and the facilities. It takes every resident to ensure that we have a safe and fun-filled summer. That's all.
Thank you. We don't have anything for old business. Under new business, we've got attached, if you guys have picked up the paperwork as you came in.
I have them up there, so.
Is some country club repaving. We are currently working with the Roads and Maintenance Committee, who has reviewed various options and made recommendations. But in the attachment that if you have or we'll hand out is we are going to be reallocating some of our existing budget that is already designated for paving. We need incremental 28,000 in order to finish the whole area, and it's going to be the country club area we're addressing. And part of this is it's really a key focal area. You know, everyone goes by it. It's one of our big amenities, so we want to make sure that we're keeping up on that and making sure it looks good. And we're making some improvements by expanding the number of parking spaces, we're moving the helipad, and we're also kind of putting together the dumpsters off here into one area. So it's going to look much nicer, much cleaner, and then give us the results that we need for more expanded parking space. So I don't know if anyone would like to explain the headlines or if someone else.
That's it. I mean, it was a mess. And also from a liability standpoint, we're going to be much better off fixing it and taking care of the holes and the bad shape that it was in. And the curbing, yeah.
All right, so with that, I'd like to make if there's a motion to approve an incremental 28,000 in the paving budget in order to make this improvement to the country club. And just another input as far as timing, we're trying to do that as soon as possible. You'll see results we're trying to get on their schedule and do it quickly within the next month or so. So it's right now is when it's going to happen. So I have a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve 28,000.
And I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes. Next, moving on to lot management, we've got a one lot sale, 5047 Woodmont Drive. I make a motion to approve the sale of Woodmont Drive, 5047. Have a motion to approve.
I make a motion.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And then we've got a deed back, and it's 1384 Lakeview Parkway. A motion to approve the deed back.
I make a motion that we approve.
All right, I'll second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. This month we do not have any committee updates. So as of right now, we'll go ahead and adjourn the formal meeting.
Yeah, before you go, I gotta say something.
Okay.
I'm sort of smiling, believe it or not. After 6.5 years, the DOR's passed. I want to give a lot of thanks to the document management committee. Les, Tom, and Paul, those three plus me have been fighting this thing forever. The support from the board, and more importantly, the support from the community. We finally got the quorum. We finally got the vote that we needed. The last go round, even though we didn't make the quorum, the majority of the people had voted for it. But since we didn't have a quorum, it didn't match. This time, the stars aligned, it all came together. And like Maureen says, we now have a base document from which we can now move forward. I have likened it to putting a new transmission in a 1940 Chevy. That's what we had before. There was no sense really modifying that. But we can do this one with our new DOR. We can do what we need to do. The document management committee with the board here and getting community input will be working towards the next 2 or 3 steps. And the big one coming up is some kind of a rental cap. We will work to get that done as soon as we can. So thanks everybody for finally supporting us.
I'd like to also
You may.
piggyback off of Barry. I want to thank everyone who participated in this as well. This has been a painstaking event that we've tried to accomplish, and it just makes me feel so much relieved that we can move forward with our community. We needed this really bad. And my hat's off to our community, my hat's off to the board, and my hat's off to our POA staff too, because they have really pushed at this as well. So thank everyone for this.
Obviously, I was excited. I got so excited I moved it up in the agenda, so. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and,
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second it.
6.
And I do have copies of the country club plan, if you guys want to come by and pick one up. And we will have them available at the office as well.
Okay, so there's a sign-up sheet. There's a 2-minute limit set for each person wishing to speak. Unused minutes will not be given to another person to use. The president of the board of directors will call your name during the open forum as listed in the agenda. So just understand there's no derogatory or out of order remarks are permitted during the meeting. Open forum is intended for orderly and productive interaction with the board of directors.
All right, first up is Bill Knight.
First and only up.
A lot of this has been taken care of with regard to the DOR. I was going to specifically point out the doggedness of Barry Gardner. He has just been nonstop. And I really do appreciate that. And I had a couple of questions. Are there cameras at the playground and at the pools?
Yes,
So we have an idea of who did what?
we do. And we actually have the vehicles. The report's been filed with the county. They're very distinct vehicles, and I fully suspect we're gonna catch these.
And I didn't catch exactly what you said, the requirements for teams 13 to 15.
13 to 15 has to have a it's I think it's $10. It's a youth amenities card. It only gets them into the amenities. It has their name and their address on it. Those must be purchased if they're at the amenities by themselves. That basically gives permission from the parent that they're to be there by themselves, but they are not allowed to sign in the guests.
Together with the rental cap, is there any way to put a cap on loud mufflers?
We could enforce that. I'm sure we would.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we'll go to loud music and we'll, maybe try to follow me.
Thank y'all very much for your work.
I think the gas prices would address the loud mufflers and use of them. All right, is there anybody else that,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah.
Since we're going to be doing the paving at the country club, is there any road paving that's going to happen this year, or is that in place of that?
Yes, there's some. I don't know the exact area, but the,
Ayers Court is on top of the list.
Ayers Court's on the top of the list.
And
That's-
Okay, so there's not going to be the normal amount of paving, just like
Right.
we take care of some
And
cities.
there are patches. The patchwork comes out of a separate budget. And so some of the big areas where Carroll County Water Authority has cut into the road, and those areas will still be paved.
And this is something that the strategic planning committee has looked at, because historically, we allocate $250,000 a year for roads, for paving and maintenance, and that would usually get us, I think Allison, correct me, is about 3 miles of paving. But being a petroleum-based product, I think that there's gonna be heavy price increases in that, so that's something else we're gonna have to look at, plan out for this year and for the next 5 years hereafter about adjusting, potentially looking at paving budgets.
And since that box is now open, the reason we wanted to go ahead and take the extra money and complete the whole project now, rather than doing it incrementally, we do part of it this year, and it would cost us almost as much to do the second half next year as it cost us to do the half this year because of the anticipated increases in the cost of asphalt. So let's go ahead and do it now with this price as bad as it is, because when we talk to Brooks Paving, they've been in instances where they get a quote on Friday, and on Monday, that particular thing has gone up $4 or $5 a ton just over the darn weekend. So he was saying if we do half now and half later, that extra half is going to cost you more than the front half. So we might as well just bite that bullet. So we decided to do the incremental, pull some money and get it done. And besides that, it'll look better being completed project at one time.
And then Barry, while you're talking, can you also do a quick update on the strategic planning, the next meeting for?
Okay, well, we've got we put a proposal, a survey together, and we're gonna pass that survey to the strategic planning committee to have them take a look at. We did this survey across the community, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, asking the residents, what would you like to see happen in Fairfield in the future? It's the wish list. That wish list will come back, where they're gonna share the list with the various committees that actually put their priorities together. So that's gonna be the basis for getting what we want in the community. That will then come up through the budgeting process into the strategic planning committee. We'll take a look at it and we'll plan this thing out and prioritize what we need now, what we need later, and figure out how to plan and pay for it through the committees and the board. Yeah, go through the committee. Well, it'll come back, of course, it'll come back to the board for approval, but the strategic planning committee is going to be the one that's going to pull it all together on the budget and finance from the other committees and put a plan together. This plan will then be presented to the board and then to the community. The long-term objective being, if we get this 5-year plan worked out, we should be able to anticipate what is going to happen to assessments in the future. Because we've got a plan, we know where we're going. We're not doing knee-jerk reactions back and forth. So that's the big advantage. But at the next strategic planning meeting is we'll provide the survey to the committee for them to take a look at, adjust as we need. Then it will go out to the community for everybody to come in and put what you want to see in Fairfield in the future. So we are going to put this thing together and get a plan. It won't take as long as it did for the DOR, but we will get that. We will get this done.
The DOR is gonna help us financially quite a bit too.
That's a good thing.
So that's the big thing about it. It keeps,
And it updates the community.
Goals.
Yeah. Okay, great.
And protects your property rights.
What's the thing, I mean, I live on the golf course, we've noticed they've done a great job recently of having tournaments with big participation. And I just want to ask, when you start to do the paving, if that'll be cool, maybe get their schedule. They don't have, 150 golfers show up and there's
Yeah.
things going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think
July
they're-
4th weekend also.
I think they're aiming at doing it Tuesdays when the golf course will
Well,
close. Or
They're gonna do the main parking area. I've already talked to the contractor. They should have it done by July 4th, so it'll be ready by then. But I did talk to them about doing the main parking area first, or do it in sections, and maybe the main parking area on a Tuesday when the course is closed. That way it's still allowing parking where we can. So, but we are gonna check the schedule for the tournaments as well.
Did you?
What is the date that the DOR is gonna go into existence? Is it today, June
That's
first,
a good question.
weekend?
Good
So,
question.
Good question.
Like,
We got so excited, we just
Well,
got.
it does have to be signed by the secretary, and he is actually out of town for another week. So.
Hang in there, but believe me, it won't sit on the desk for a long time.
We're going to his
Yeah,
house
can we do a
at 10 o'clock at
DocuSign?
night if we have to when he gets in.
I mean, technically, aren't I still the secretary till he gets back?
And then, of course, we'll have to put the word out because it's gonna impact realtors and things like this. This will be the initiation fee is the big baby. That'll be the thing that has to be added. So we've got to give a little bit of leeway on that one, but it's gonna go in as fast as we can get it.
I mean, I would target no later than 5 June orders.
You know, yeah.
Yeah, as soon as we can get it signed, I'm gonna send it to the courthouse for recording. That takes less than 24 hours now to get it back. And so in theory, as soon as I can get it signed and recorded quickly, it's in effect, which will change our closing letters, which will add the initiation fee.
Great question.
All right, thank
All right.
you. Thank you.
A little bit.